The scream came before the claws. It cut through the forest like shattered glass. By sunset tomorrow, every orphan captured by the slave traders would be sold beyond the northern border forever. There would be no rescue after dawn, no second chance, no mercy. Before the story continues, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you are listening from. Your support helps more unforgettable werewolf romance stories reach listeners around the world. Lucan tightened the rough cloak hiding his royal armor and sprinted toward the sound. Branches snapped beneath his boots. The scent of fear filled the evening air. A little girl fought like a cornered wolf despite the iron chain wrapped around her wrists. Two massive slave traders laughed as she bit one man's hand hard enough to draw blood. "You stubborn little beast!" The larger man raised his whip. It never landed. Lucan caught the leather in midair. The force split the ground beneath his feet. Both traders stared at the seemingly ordinary traveler. "You picked the wrong stranger," Lucan said quietly. His golden eyes flashed for a single heartbeat. An invisible wave of alpha authority crushed the air. The traders dropped to their knees, unable to breathe. The little girl stumbled backward, expecting another monster. Instead, the stranger unlocked her chains. "You are safe," she looked up with trembling eyes. "My name is Mira." Then, instead of thanking him, she grabbed his sleeve. "You have to come. There is someone else. She saved all of us. They are coming for her next." Lucan frowned. "Who?" Mira's voice broke. "The queen nobody knows is still alive." Far above them, the full moon disappeared behind gathering clouds. Somewhere deep inside Lucan's wolf, something ancient stirred, something impossible, something that had been waiting for years. The woman beneath the false name Mira led the silent traveler away from the forest road long after darkness had swallowed the last traces of sunset. She never questioned why the stranger carried himself like a warrior. She only knew he had been the first adult willing to fight for her without asking for anything in return. The narrow trail wound through abandoned farmland where forgotten cottages leaned against the weight of time. Wildflowers pushed through cracked stone walls. Empty wells reflected the moon like broken mirrors. Lucan followed quietly. The farther they walked, the stranger the scents became. Fresh bread, medicinal herbs, wolf pups, smoke from cooking fires. Hope. It was impossible. No official village existed anywhere on his kingdom's maps. Yet life flourished here. At the center of the hidden valley stood dozens of repaired wooden cabins surrounding an ancient oak tree whose silver leaves shimmered beneath the moonlight. Children laughed around a small fire. Some carried baskets of vegetables. Others practiced reading from worn books. Several older teenagers repaired fences instead of carrying weapons. No guards, no walls, no fear, only peace. Mira smiled for the first time that evening. "We are home." Children rushed toward her. "You came back! We thought they took you. We prayed the moon goddess would protect you." They hugged her before noticing the unfamiliar traveler. Every conversation stopped. Lucan expected panic. Instead, one small boy stepped forward. "If Mira trusts you, then you may eat with us." Lucan felt something tighten inside his chest. These children had lost everything. Yet kindness remained their first instinct. Mira pointed toward the largest cottage. "She is inside." "She has been waiting," Lucan frowned. "Waiting for me?" Mira shook her head. "No. Waiting for whoever the moon finally sent." The words lingered in the cool night air. Lucan walked toward the cottage. Before reaching the door, another scent drifted through the breeze. Lavender, pine, moonflowers blooming after rain. His wolf stirred instinctively before settling again. The feeling vanished almost as quickly as it appeared. He dismissed it. It could not be what he imagined. Inside the cottage, shelves overflowed with herbs carefully labeled by hand. Bundles of dried flowers hung from wooden beams. Clay jars contained homemade medicine. Simple blankets covered narrow beds where two injured children slept peacefully. Everything was modest. Everything was clean. Everything spoke of sacrifice rather than comfort. Near the window stood a woman wearing a faded gray cloak. Her silver hair was loosely braided beneath a plain linen scarf. She carefully wrapped a fresh bandage around a little girl's injured hand. "There," she smiled warmly. "You may climb trees again in 3 days," the child laughed. "I will only climb the small ones. You said that last time." "I know, but I meant it this time." The room filled with quiet laughter. Lucan watched without speaking. The woman never noticed him immediately. Every movement she made carried remarkable patience. She greeted every child by name. She remembered who feared thunderstorms, who disliked bitter medicine, who preferred stories before bedtime, who still woke crying after escaping the slave traders. She remembered everything, not because she ruled them, because she loved them. When the last child left the room, Mira hurried forward. "I found him." The woman turned. Her calm blue eyes met Lucan's, only for a heartbeat. Then she lowered her gaze respectfully. "You brought a guest." "I brought the man who saved me," Mira corrected gently. The woman approached. "Then our home owes you gratitude." She bowed slightly. "My name is Eleanor." The name sounded ordinary. Too ordinary. Lucan sensed nothing dishonest in her voice. Yet something felt incomplete, almost practiced. As though she had repeated that name for many years, he accepted the offered cup of herbal tea. "You care for many children. As many as fate delivers," she answered. "They deserve a childhood. They have already survived enough." Lucan looked around the room. "You receive no support from the crown?" A faint sadness crossed her face. "The crown cannot protect those it never sees." Before Lucan could answer, an elderly healer entered carrying a basket of fresh herbs. His hair was completely white, his shoulders bent with age, yet his amber eyes remained remarkably sharp. He stopped the moment he saw Lucan. Recognition flickered across his face. Not recognition of the traveler, recognition of something greater. He recovered almost instantly. "You arrived safely." He smiled toward Mira. "The moon was kind tonight." Mira nodded enthusiastically. "He fought them all by himself." The old healer looked carefully at Lucan. "I do not believe that was coincidence." Later that evening, after the children had fallen asleep, Lucan wandered outside beneath the ancient oak tree. Its silver leaves whispered, although no wind touched them. Carved into the trunk was an unfamiliar symbol, a crescent moon embracing a white wolf. The carving was ancient, far older than the village itself. Lucan brushed his fingers across the weathered mark. For reasons he could not explain, his heartbeat accelerated. Behind him, the old healer spoke quietly. "Most people never notice that symbol." Lucan turned. "Does it mean?" The elderly man smiled. "I have spent 40 years asking the same question. They say it belonged to a queen whom history forgot." Before Lucan could ask another question, he noticed the woman everyone called Eleanor standing alone beside the children's garden. Moonlight illuminated her silver hair. She knelt beside a dying flower, gently pressing fresh soil around its fragile roots instead of replacing it with a healthier plant. The smallest acts revealed the deepest truths. She never abandoned what still had a chance to live. Hidden beneath the sleeve of her worn gray dress, for only an instant, A faint silver crescent-shaped birthmark shimmered before disappearing again beneath the fabric. Lucan never saw it. But somewhere beyond the clouds, the full moon emerged once more, and the ancient symbol carved into the oak tree glowed with a soft silver light before fading back into silence. No one noticed, except the old healer. He closed his eyes. "The time has finally come," he whispered, the scent the moon never erased. The first ray of dawn slipped through the hidden valley. Mist drifted across the gardens where orphaned wolf children were already gathering herbs before breakfast. Life began early because survival always had. Lucan had spent countless mornings inside magnificent royal halls, surrounded by gold, marble, and endless ceremony. Yet none of those places had ever felt as alive as this forgotten sanctuary. Children laughed while carrying buckets of fresh water. Teenagers repaired broken fences. The elderly healer quietly sorted medicinal roots beside the ancient oak. No one knew they were living beneath the protection of the woman the kingdom believed had died years ago. Or perhaps, no one except the moon goddess. Mira ran toward Lucan carrying 2 wooden bowls. "You have to eat. You cannot help anyone on an empty stomach." Lucan accepted the breakfast with a grateful smile. "You sound older than your years," Mira shrugged. "When children raise children, everyone grows up early." Her words lingered inside him long after she returned to the others. Across the garden, the woman called Eleanor knelt beside a frightened little boy. His arm shook as she cleaned a fresh wound. "I am sorry," the child whispered. "I broke another basket." "You broke wood," she answered gently. "Not trust. There is a difference." The boy slowly smiled. Lucan watched the exchange without realizing he had stopped breathing. She possessed no royal jewels, no crown, no attendants. Yet every child looked at her exactly as subjects once looked upon their queen, not because they feared her, because they felt safe beside her. The old healer approached Lucan carrying several bundles of lavender. "Walk with me." They followed the narrow path leading toward the river beyond the village. After several silent moments, the old man finally spoke. "You are not an ordinary traveler," Lucan answered honestly. "No. And she is not an ordinary healer." The healer smiled faintly. "No." Neither asked another question. Neither revealed another truth. Yet both understood the conversation had already begun. Suddenly, a terrified howl echoed through the valley. Children screamed. Lucan reacted instantly. He sprinted toward the sound. 3 frightened wolf pups had wandered beyond the northern fence where a massive mountain bear towered above them. The beast roared. The smallest child froze. Lucan stepped forward. Golden light flashed inside his eyes. The alpha within him surged toward the surface. One command would send the animal fleeing, then a calm voice interrupted. "Please wait," Lucan turned. Eleanor walked slowly toward the enormous bear. Every child gasped. The old healer remained perfectly still. She carried no weapon, only a small pouch of herbs. The bear growled. She continued walking, not recklessly, peacefully. She scattered fragrant mountain herbs onto the ground before the animal. Then she spoke softly. "You are protecting your cubs. So am I." The great bear lowered its head. Its breathing slowed. Moments later, it gently gathered its own frightened cubs from nearby bushes before disappearing into the forest. No violence, no dominance, only understanding. Lucan stared in disbelief. "I have never seen anything like that," Eleanor smiled. "Most creatures attack because they believe someone they love is in danger. They are not so different from us, Before Lucan could answer, the wind changed. A single breeze swept through the valley. It carried the fragrance of moonflowers, lavender, fresh rain, ancient silver forests. The scent struck Lucan like lightning. Every muscle in his body locked. His heartbeat exploded inside his chest. His wolf awakened with overwhelming force. "Man!" The ancient instinct thundered through his soul. "Mine!" Electric warmth raced through every vein. The world disappeared. Only one scent remained. He looked toward Eleanor. She froze exactly where she stood. One hand instinctively pressed against her own heart. She felt it too, not fear, recognition, a bond older than memory, a connection neither time nor deception had erased. Lucan staggered forward. "What?" His voice failed. The air between them shimmered faintly beneath the morning sun. Invisible silver threads appeared for only an instant, stretching from his heart toward hers before fading again. Eleanor closed her eyes. A quiet, involuntary sound escaped her lips. Not a cry, not a word. A soft, instinctive purr that only destined mates could hear. Lucan's wolf answered immediately. Every instinct begged him to close the distance, to protect her, to remain beside her forever. Instead, he forced himself to stop. "If I frighten you, I will leave." Her eyes filled with tears. "You do not frighten me. You remind me." "Of what?" "The life I buried." Silence settled around them. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. The old healer slowly approached. His weathered face showed neither surprise nor fear, only relief. "I prayed I would live long enough to witness this day." Lucan turned toward him. "You knew." "I suspected." The old healer nodded. "But only the moon could awaken what had been hidden." Lucan looked back at Eleanor. "Who are you?" She remained silent. Her hands trembled, not because she wished to lie, because the truth endangered everyone around her. Mira appeared beside them unexpectedly. Her young face looked from Lucan to Eleanor. Then she smiled. "I knew it." Both adults looked at her. You smile the same way." Lucan almost laughed despite the confusion. "You decided that from one smile?" "No." Mira shook her head. "You both look at everyone else first. You never think about yourselves." The child's innocent observation broke something inside Eleanor. Tears slipped quietly down her face. The old healer reached beneath his robe. From a small leather pouch, he removed an ancient silver pendant shaped like a crescent moon embracing a white wolf. He offered it to Eleanor. "You have hidden long enough." Her hands trembled as she accepted it. She slowly opened the pendant. Inside rested a tiny portrait. A younger woman wearing the crown of the Moon Kingdom, the same silver hair, the same gentle blue eyes, the same face. Lucan's breathing stopped. "Eleanor," she whispered through tears. "My true name is Elara Moonveil. I was the Luna of this kingdom." The valley fell silent. "I did not abandon my people. They believed I died. I allowed them to. Because every child living here would have been hunted if the traitors learned I survived." Lucan looked into her eyes. Every unanswered question, every strange feeling, every impossible instinct suddenly made perfect sense. His wolf stepped fully into his soul, not with rage, not with triumph, with absolute certainty. The moon goddess had never taken his destined queen away. She had hidden her until the day compassion led him to her door. Far beyond the valley, inside the royal capital, Duke Magnus Dreadmore stood before a messenger whose face had turned pale. "My lord, the hidden sanctuary has been found." Magnus slowly smiled. "Then prepare every hunter. This time, The queen truly dies. The first arrow struck the orphanage roof before sunrise. It exploded into splintered wood. Children screamed. Another arrow followed, then another. The peaceful valley vanished beneath a storm of fire and steel. "They found us!" Mira cried. Outside the sanctuary, hundreds of armored hunters surrounded the hidden village. Black banners bearing the crest of Duke Magnus Dreadmore fluttered above rows of mounted wolves. Commander Rurik Stonefang rode at the front. His voice echoed through the valley. "Deliver the woman called Elara. Hand over every orphan carrying noble blood, and the rest of you may live." Silence answered him inside the orphanage. The children instinctively gathered around Elara, not because she commanded them, because she had always been their safest place. Lucan stepped forward. His traveler's cloak slipped from his shoulders. Beneath it rested the obsidian armor of the Alpha King. Golden runes ignited across the ancient steel. Gasps spread through the valley. The hunters stared in disbelief. "The king," Commander Rurik's confidence faltered. "You," Lucan's amber eyes burned like twin suns. "You crossed my kingdom. You hunted my people. You sold my children. And today, you threaten my queen." The final words rolled across the valley like thunder. "My queen." Every orphan looked toward Elara. Tears filled her eyes. For years she had refused every reminder of her former life. Now, the king himself had restored it with 4 simple words. Duke Magnus emerged from the ranks of soldiers, elegant, calm, smiling. I wondered how long it would take. "You finally found your precious mate." His gaze shifted towards Elara. "You should have stayed dead," Elara answered quietly. "I stayed alive. For them." She looked toward the children gathered behind her. Magnus laughed. "And that is why you always lose. You protect weakness." Lucan slowly stepped in front of Elara. "No," he answered. "She protects the future." Magnus raised one hand. "Kill them!" The valley exploded. Dozens of enchanted chains shot through the air. Crossbows fired silver-tipped bolts. Werewolves charged across the open ground. Lucan moved. The earth shattered beneath his first step. Stone burst upward. The shockwave threw the leading attackers backward before they reached the orphanage. The Alpha King was no longer merely a ruler. He became the storm itself. A hunter swung an enchanted axe. Lucan caught the weapon barehanded. The metal cracked, then disintegrated into silver dust. Another attacker lunged. Lucan's roar erupted across the valley. Invisible Alpha authority crashed outward. The nearest wolves collapsed onto the ground. Weapons slipped from trembling hands. Several horses refused to advance. Commander Rurik shouted desperately, "Stand your ground!" No one moved. Their instincts rebelled. No ordinary warrior could resist the command of a true Alpha King. Yet Magnus remained smiling. "You are distracted." Lucan's eyes narrowed. "What?" Magnus pointed toward the forest. "Look. Smoke. Thick black smoke." A second force had circled behind the village. The orphanage roof burst into flames. Children screamed inside. Lucan turned instinctively, exact as Magnus intended. Hidden assassins emerged from beneath the burning building, straight toward Elara. Mira saw them first. "No!" She threw herself toward Elara. An assassin raised his blade. He never completed the strike. The air distorted. Moonlight poured from nowhere. Silver light wrapped around Elara like flowing water. Her hidden moon mark ignited beneath her sleeve. The assassin froze. His weapon stopped inches from her. The ground beneath him blossomed with glowing white flowers despite the raging battle. Every wolf in the valley lifted its head simultaneously. The moon goddess had answered. Lucan felt electricity surge through the mate bond. His wolf no longer whispered, it roared. Protect her, the command shook every part of his soul. Lucan vanished. For one impossible heartbeat, he simply disappeared. Then he appeared directly between Elara and the assassin. The speed bent the air itself. The assassin's blade shattered against Lucan's bare forearm, as though striking solid granite. Lucan's eyes blazed pure gold. His voice became something older than language. No one touches my mate. The valley trembled. Massive cracks spread across the earth. Ancient trees bent away from the force. The attackers staggered backward. Some dropped unconscious. Others fled without looking behind them. Even seasoned warriors wept beneath the crushing weight of the Alpha King's unleashed authority. Magnus finally stopped smiling. So, the legends were true. Lucan stepped forward, one step, another. Each footfall echoed like thunder. You hunted children. You murdered innocents. You stole my queen's life. You will answer for every heartbeat. Commander Rurik gathered the last loyal soldiers. Protect the Duke, they charged together. Lucan did not. He simply raised one hand. The golden runes across his armor erupted into brilliant light. A colossal spectral wolf formed behind him. Its silver eyes opened. Its presence filled the entire valley. The hunters froze. No blood, no gore, only overwhelming supernatural judgment. The spectral wolf released a single earth-shaking howl. The blast swept across the battlefield. What flew from shaking hands? Armor cracked. Enchanted banners disintegrated into glowing ash. Every remaining attacker collapsed to their knees. The battle ended in seconds. Silence returned, broken only by frightened breathing. Lucan lowered his hand. The spectral wolf dissolved into drifting moonlight. He immediately turned away from the defeated army, not towards victory, toward Elara. She stood surrounded by frightened children. Her first concern had never been herself. She checked every child for injuries, every face, every trembling hand. Lucan watched her quietly. Even after surviving another attempt on her life, she still chose compassion before relief. The old healer approached slowly. The prophecy did not say the Alpha King would save the Queen. Lucan looked at him. What did it say? The healer smiled. It said, the Queen would remind the Alpha King what he was created to protect. Lucan lowered his head. For the first time since becoming king, he understood. A throne existed for one purpose, not to rule, to shelter those who could never defend themselves. Far beyond the valley, a wounded messenger reached Duke Magnus's hidden fortress. My lord. The hunters failed. The Alpha King awakened the ancient wolf. Magnus's face darkened. Then summon every noble still loyal to me. If I cannot kill the Queen in secret, I will destroy her before the entire kingdom. The war had only begun, and now every mask would fall. The battle ended. The war did not. Morning sunlight filtered through the smoke rising above the hidden valley. The orphanage still stood, scarred, broken, but standing. Children slowly emerged from the underground shelter. Some clung to one another. Others searched anxiously for familiar faces. The first person they ran toward was not the Alpha King. It was Elara. She embraced every frightened child. She remembered every name, every scar, every promise she had ever made. You are safe. We are together. No one will ever take you again. Only after every child had been comforted did she allow herself to breathe. Lucan watched quietly. The moon goddess had not chosen the most powerful woman. She had chosen the kindest one. Commander Rurik remained on his knees. His sword lay several feet away, The proud commander who had once hunted innocent children could no longer lift his eyes. "I surrender," Lucan answered without anger. "You surrendered the moment you chose fear over honor." Royal guards from the capital poured into the valley. This time they wore the true crest of the crown. Behind them rode hundreds of pack elders, village leaders, healers, witnesses. Word of the hidden sanctuary had spread faster than any messenger. The kingdom had come to see the truth, the children, the sanctuary, the forgotten Luna. Duke Magnus stood in enchanted chains at the center of the valley. His final escape had failed before sunrise. Lady Seraphine Ashcroft knelt beside him, her elegant robes torn and covered with dust. Neither spoke. Neither smiled. The years of deception had finally reached their end. Elder Kalin, the oldest judge of the Moon Council, stepped forward carrying the Book of Ancient Oaths. "For 15 years, he declared, the kingdom believed its Luna had died." He slowly turned toward Elara. The kingdom was deceived. He faced Magnus. "You forged royal decrees. You ordered executions. You trafficked innocent children carrying noble blood. You turned compassion into weakness." Magnus laughed bitterly. "I lost. That is all." "No," Lucan answered calmly. "You forgot the difference between losing and becoming monstrous." The entire valley fell silent. The Alpha King walked toward the chained Duke. No rage crossed his face, no hatred, only absolute certainty. "You feared children because they could not be controlled. You feared Elara because she loved without asking for power. You feared truth because it survives every lie." Magnus looked away. For the first time, shame outweighed arrogance. The Moon Council delivered its judgment. Duke Magnus Dreadmore, you are stripped forever of your title, lands, wealth, military command, and noble lineage. You will spend the remainder of your life rebuilding every orphan sanctuary destroyed by your greed. You will work with your own hands. You will never again command another soul. The former Duke lowered his head. No protest came, only silence. Elder Kalin turned toward Lady Seraphine. "You ordered the execution of an innocent Luna. You poisoned loyalty. You divided the kingdom. You shall devote the remainder of your life to healing the families your deception destroyed." Finally, he faced Commander Rurik. "You betrayed your sacred oath." Rurik closed his eyes. "I know, but when the children cried, I remembered the son I lost. My courage returned too late." Elder Kalin nodded slowly. "Too late is still earlier than never. You will earn forgiveness through faithful service." Rurik bowed deeply. "I swear it." The judgments ended. No cheering followed. Justice needed no applause, only witnesses. As the crowds slowly dispersed, Lucan found Elara sitting beneath the ancient silver oak. The children played nearby. Mira laughed while teaching the younger ones how to braid flower crowns. For the first time in years, the valley sounded like childhood again. Lucan approached quietly. His armor remained cracked from battle. Silver dust covered the black steel. His hands still carried traces of dried blood from protecting the sanctuary. He stopped several steps away, without warning. The Alpha King removed his royal cloak, then his ceremonial sword. Finally, he lowered himself onto one knee before Elara. Every conversation across the valley stopped. An Alpha King did not kneel. Kings received loyalty. They did not ask for forgiveness. Lucan lowered his head. "My queen," his voice trembled. "I searched battlefields. I searched palaces. I searched every corner of this kingdom. And all along, you were saving children I failed to protect." A tear slipped down Elara's cheek. Lucan continued. I believed strength meant defeating enemies. You taught me. It means protecting those who cannot fight. He placed his royal signet ring upon the ground between them. I cannot return the years stolen from you. I cannot erase the loneliness you carried. But if you will allow it, I wish to spend every remaining day earning the right to stand beside you. The valley remained perfectly still. Even the wind seemed to wait. Elara slowly reached forward. She lifted the ring from the grass, then, instead of placing it upon herself, she gently returned it to Lucan's hand. You never lost the right. You only forgot why the moon chose you. Lucan looked up. She smiled through quiet tears. A true king is not measured by the crown upon his head. He is measured by the people who feel safe beneath its shadow. She offered him her hand. Lucan accepted it. He rose, not above her, beside her. The ancient mate bond awakened completely. Soft silver light surrounded them, not with overwhelming power, with peace. The children cheered. Mira smiled brighter than anyone. I told you, she whispered proudly, the moon never lost her queen. Far away, inside the royal capital, every church bell began ringing on its own. Every moon shrine lit with silver flame. Every ancient monument bearing the symbol of the forgotten Luna glowed once more. Across the kingdom, the people finally understood their queen had never abandoned them. She had simply been waiting, until compassion found her before ambition could. 7 days later, the capital had never been so quiet. Not because fear ruled the streets, because hope did. For the first time in 15 years, every bell in the kingdom rang for celebration instead of mourning. Thousands gathered before the restored moon palace. Former soldiers stood beside farmers. Pack elders stood beside orphaned children. No one had come to witness the return of royalty. They had come to welcome home the woman who had spent 15 years proving that a queen did not need a throne to protect her people. Mira stood in the front row, holding the hands of 2 younger children she had once rescued herself. She looked toward the palace balcony and smiled. We are finally home, inside the Hall of the Moon. Elder Kalin carried the crown of the first Luna. Forged from white silver and moon crystals, it had remained untouched since the day Elara was believed to have died. He stopped before her. For many years, we believed this crown had lost its queen. He smiled gently. We were wrong. The moon goddess never abandoned her chosen Luna. She simply hid her where ambition could never reach. Lucan stood beside Elara, wearing his royal armor. This time he did not step forward first. He stepped aside. The moment belonged to her. Elder Kalin slowly placed the ancient crown upon Elara's head. The instant the silver touched her hair, soft moonlight poured through the palace ceiling. The moon mark hidden upon her wrist shone with a gentle silver glow. Warm light flowed through her body. The scars left by years of hardship slowly faded, not because they had never existed, but because they no longer defined her. The entire hall filled with peaceful silence. Then every alpha, every Luna, every elder, every royal guard knelt, not before power, before compassion. Lucan gently took Elara's hand, my queen. You never stopped leading this kingdom. You simply led it from the place where it needed you most. Elara looked across the great hall, then towards the children standing proudly at the entrance. I never saved them alone, she smiled warmly. They saved me too. Thunderous applause echoed throughout the palace. Outside, the gates opened. Every orphan from the hidden sanctuary entered together. no longer nameless, no longer forgotten. Each child received a family, a home, an education, a future. Mira was the last to walk through the gates. She looked back once toward the distant valley where everything had begun. Then she smiled. It was worth every step. As evening settled across the kingdom, Lucan and Elara stood together beneath the full moon overlooking a peaceful capital. No fires, no battle, only laughter drifting through the streets below. The moon goddess had not returned a forgotten queen. She had revealed the queen who had never truly left. Far away, Duke Magnus, Lady Seraphine, and the remaining conspirators began their lifelong sentences rebuilding orphan sanctuaries, schools, bridges, and villages destroyed by their own greed. Every stone they lifted reminded them that the greatest kingdoms are not built by fear, but by mercy. If you had discovered that your true queen had sacrificed everything to protect children instead of reclaiming her throne, would you have made the same choice she did? Share your answer in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable werewolf romance adventures filled with destiny, redemption, courage, and the enduring power of the moon goddess.